Acceleration here. Wow. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2021 Audi RS Q8. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Mitsubishi for giving me some time with this Audi RS Q8. Check out their inventory in the link below. Yes, they have the new Mitsubishis, but they also have the craziest used car inventory I've ever seen, so you guys got to check them out. Under the hood of the RS Q8, we have a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 13 around town and then 19 on the highway, with power outputs being 591 horsepower and then 590 pound-feet of torque. Let's go over the front end of the RS Q8. So first off, I love the look of the hood, how it has that kind of like longer sports car type design and then a bunch of angular lines. Coming down below, notice we've got the full LED lights with the LED headlights, just looks really good. And then tons of carbon fiber here around the front grille area. And then even here on the side, you do have parking sensors integrated at the front, but just look at all of the carbon fiber on the front end. Notice that the Audi logo and all of that's been blacked out. But yeah, that front end look on this is ridiculous. Really good looking. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 95mm tires wrapped around 23-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. Ridiculous for the setup. You guys can see we've got the massive brake calipers, and look at the size of the front rotors. I mean, again, 23-inch wheels, and the rotors fill up a pretty large portion of that. Yeah, just craziness. Now here's the full side view on the RS Q8, and I just love how it looks. Again, obviously this is built off the same platform as the Lamborghini Urus. You can see a lot of elements that are shared with them. But yeah, from the side profile, it looks really good. And then the last cool touch here, notice that you've got carbon fiber wrapped around the mirror, and then you've got a camera there at the bottom. But yeah, that's everything for the side. Now let's pop into the back of the RS Q8. First off, I love the metallic trim right here. Definitely looks really good. And then we have our RS Q8 floor mats. And then it does have air suspension, so you can raise and lower the rear so that you can basically throw things in, make it a little bit easier. And then it does come with a cargo cover. And then notice you even have the Alcantara right here on the back portion. But yeah, that's everything for the trunk area. Now let's finish things up in the rear of the RS Q8. First off, the taillights. I love the sequential taillights. Definitely a cool, unique look. And then the other thing that's really cool is, you guys remember with the new Audi R8, they've got the oval exhaust tips, and same thing with this with the covering over it. And then notice you've got more carbon fiber here at the bottom portion with the diffuser. And then you have a receiver hitch right there in the center of all of the carbon fiber, just to add to the ridiculousness of the RS Q8. But yeah, other than that, that is everything for the rear. Here's the door panel on the rear. First off, we have a frameless window, which is really neat. And we've got full leather here at the top, Alcantara in the center, and then more leather down below with the carbon fiber trim in this area. And then here are the seats at the back. So we've got full leather here. It says RS on it. You've got kind of like hexagons right there that have little pathways. Looks pretty interesting in terms of the stitching. I'm here in the back of the RS Q8, and first off, I want to mention I fit in here really well. I'm 5'11", tons of headroom. I got tons of legroom. And then notice we've got some vents here in the rear, and then you actually have this little screen right here where you can control the climate controls. And then we've got this that pulls down, and notice that you've got some cup holders that'll kind of pop out of all of that. And well, that's the back. Well, I'll turn on the cars, you guys can see the screen, and then we'll head to the front. So notice here on the screen, it shows you that you have two separate climate zones here for the rear, and then you've got the heated seats as well, and that's just kind of what this looks like while it's on. And then notice down below that you've got a couple of USBs and a 12-volt. Now here's the door panel on the front of the RS Q8. So again, you've got the full leather here at the top with the Alcantara just down below, and then more leather where you're gonna rest your arm. Got all the window controls here in this area, and then we've got the carbon fiber that's wrapped around the door handle. Notice it does come with memory seats. I love the design on the speaker right there. RS Q8 plaque. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, full leather, says RS at the top, and then you've got that same kind of like hexagonal design with the perforated leather. And then notice all the power adjustments here on the side of the seat, and then the pedals just down below right there. And then the steering wheel is automatically adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. start off with the steering wheel here in the RS Q8. So just like in the Audi R8, they do kind of like the golf ball leather is what I want to call it, because it looks like a golf ball on the outside, so you get really good grip on the steering wheel. You've got these paddles here on the back of the steering wheel, and then normal practical stuff. So we've got like our voice command, phone controls. Yes, we have our RS mode. We'll go over that in a little bit. And then you've got these for the center stack, and then it says RS there at the bottom. And then notice you got the cruise control kind of hiding there in the background, and then that's just your turn signal stock, and then your windshield wiper stock, and that's all for the steering wheel. There's a lot to go over with this gauge cluster. So this is Audi's full virtual cockpit, which is awesome, and you can kind of emphasize whatever you want. So for example, I can press a couple buttons and make it so that the RPMs are front and center, or I can go over a couple of screens and then I can make it so that you've got like the radio front and center, and you can pretty much just put whatever you want. So for example, I can make it so the navigation is front and center, like super customizable, tons of stuff happening here in the center screen, but I just kind of like it to be this little viewpoint right here with the RPMs in the center. I think that just looks the best to me, obviously. Now I've got a bunch of different drive modes. So first off, we've got our RS1, and then we of course have our RS2, and the valves open up in the exhaust, and then we've got our auto mode. So you have those, and then on top of that we have more drive modes. So we've got, from auto, we've got dynamic, and again, that opens up the valves. And then we've got our off-road, and then we've got our all-road, and then we've got our comfort, and then all the way back to auto. So tons of different drive modes, really customizable. Now, I promise we're almost done with this. The last thing I want to mention is, depending on the drive mode and everything that you're in, will determine how the air suspension is as well. So it'll raise or lower it. Like in the dynamic mode, it'll basically make it so that the car's a little bit stiffer and a little bit lower, so then you can get better aerodynamics, better handling, all that kind of stuff. So it's just so cool how much changes when you change the drive modes. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. So notice we've got a backup camera with the bird's eye view, and when you turn the steering wheel, the trajectory line will turn. And then if we pop it into drive, we've got the front camera, same thing, it'll turn with the steering wheel. So really solid from a camera system perspective. Now, this infotainment system has a lot going on. I could literally have a video dedicated to just the infotainment system. That's how much stuff there is going on. So first off, obviously we have the drive mode select. We already went over that, but I just love how you have this depiction here in the center, and then notice you can change the air suspension with all of that. But then if we go back with the infotainment system, you also can customize the seats and everything. And I just love the fact that it has all that customization that comes with it. Now, this does function like a touchscreen, but then it also has haptic feedback. So if you just like lightly touch something, it's not going to do anything. You actually have to press it like it's a button. But then if you want to do scrolling function with this infotainment system, you just scroll like normal. So again, if I just lightly tap, nothing happens. You have to press it, again, like it's a button. But then other than that, it has all the other normal infotainment system stuff. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I literally could have a whole video dedicated to the infotainment system on the RS Q8. Now, if the first screen wasn't enough screen action for you, we have a second screen down below with more controls. The ones that I'm going to kind of point out the most is, obviously this does have hill descent control. It is an SUV, and then auto stop start if you want to turn off that function. Yes, has almost 600 horsepower, but still auto stop start because you got to save on fuel. And then notice this where you control the seats and the climate system. So it has heated, cooled seats. And then you've got your drive mode, select your stability control. And then this is for the parking sensors and the camera. So you press that, and then that'll actually pop it on, which is pretty neat. And then you've got your volume control, and then I love the stop start button. Then we have the transmission selector here. It's really easy to use. So you just push the button, pull it back for drive, and then push it forward for reverse, and then just push the button for park. And then it has that same kind of like golf ball leather is what I'm going to dub it for today's video. Couple cup holders right here, and then you've got the parking brake, and then it does have a manual shift function. Again, you can just use the paddles if you are in that mode. And then just notice all of the carbon fiber and the leather with the stitching just looks really nice. It is literally all over the interior. There's not really anything in the interior that is not covered in carbon fiber or leather. We have the center console here, which is pretty interesting. So it does have a wireless phone charger. You guys probably noticed it moved in kind of a weird function. So yes, you can do that so that it's kind of like a nicer armrest if you would like. Pretty easy to use. And then we do have a normal glove box here, so it is lined with felt though. Something that is pretty interesting is, notice with the screen, it goes all the way across, and they continue the black trim, so it all kind of goes in one line. And they also do the same thing with the vent. So that's not all venting, but they kind of make it so it's all one line. And then I already mentioned this, but again, we've got all the leather on the dash. Yes, it does have the pop-up speakers, which is another cool function, which, let me show you guys something. and it makes an interesting sound. Now up top here, we have a full panoramic sunroof, and then notice the whole headliner has been covered in Alcantara, including the sun visors, and it goes down to the pillars. Like I said, everything is Alcantara or leather or carbon fiber in this interior, and then the controls for the sunroof are just right there. Now the last thing I want to mention is this does have a heads-up display. Notice the 0 is right there on the carbon fiber area of that Porsche, which I think is pretty fitting because this car has a ton of carbon fiber. Now, if you guys want the most up-to-date pricing on this RS Q8, like I said, go check out Harrison Mitsubishi's inventory in the link below where you can see the pricing on this. And that all being said, let's take her out and see how she drives. Well, let's talk about visibility here in the RS Q8 before we set off. So first off, visibility over the hood is actually really good. I'm surprised by kind of the sporty design this has, and actually has a pretty big windshield. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors. It's cool to see the carbon fiber on them. And then here's the rest of the rear, which again, I thought it would be a lot worse based on the design, but it's actually really good. And that all being said, let's set off. We are setting off here in the RS Q8, and I can already tell this thing is crazy. So first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. Surprisingly, it's actually really quiet. I expected there to be tons of tire noise because it has 23-inch wheels. It's like non-existent. It's such a well-insulated cabin. It definitely feels like a high-end luxury car, which obviously this is supposed to be a dual-purpose vehicle, right? It's an SUV, but then it's also supposed to be crazy high-performance vehicle, but then also it needs to be a luxury car, and it definitely fits that. And yeah, just driving, I mean, you can literally drive this like a normal car. It's not intimidating whatsoever, and the gear shifts are really smooth and seamless, and they're not aggressive or anything in this automatic mode, and so you really can drive it like a normal car. When you get into it a little bit, yeah, you can definitely feel this thing has some power, but again, it's not crazy aggressive in the normal mode. Now I am going to shift it over into the dynamic mode. So now we're in the dynamic mode, which is kind of like your sport driving mode. Instantly downshifted a gear, obviously, so that'll help us get a little bit more power. And it opens up the valves and the exhaust. And then in terms of the RS selection, we'll do RS2 for that, and we'll do this all for the acceleration. Yeah, this thing, it's fun. This is definitely fun. Just driving at low speeds, it's a blast. And then finally, I'm gonna pop it over into the manual shift function right here. Yeah, really seamless with the manual shifts. Whoa, wow. Acceleration here. Wow, that is fast. That is really fast. That makes my TRX feel slow. And you guys got to remember, my TRX has 702 horsepower, and that feels fast compared to my TRX. Yeah, that is definitely faster. Now I know to not race an Audi RS Q8 because I will get dusted. So yeah, that's crazy. Acceleration's absolutely seamless. It is crazy. It sounds really good. I'm surprised. I expected this to, sound pretty good, but the twin turbo V8 sounds really good. Especially in this dynamic mode with the valves open and everything. It definitely has this nice throaty sound to it. They did a really good job in terms of tuning the sound. Yeah, going over the bump, even in this dynamic mode, it's not rough whatsoever. It is, and it gargles too, it looks like. I'm gonna put it back in the manual mode. Yeah, it gargles out the exhaust. This thing would be so fun to drive just on a daily basis, just embarrassing every single muscle car out there in sports cars because it's so fast. But let's get into setting things up with the RS Q8. So first off, It definitely looks like a spaceship from the exterior. Like it's really good looking. And again, it has so many similar design elements to the Urus because they're built off the same platform that it's just as beautiful. Like, look at this. You get up to speed like instantly. It is just crazy. I am not allowed to buy this vehicle because I would get so many speeding tickets that, yeah, I'd be in jail for the rest of my life. But anyways, looks amazing on the outside. Interior is just top notch. Everything is covered in leather and Alcantara and carbon fiber. All the touch points just feel and look really nice. And then the performance is crazy. I know these are a lot of money, but it's worth it. And the way that you got to look at this is you're getting a Urus from a performance standpoint, and you could easily tune this. It's the same engine. You could tune this to have more power than a Urus. You're getting a Urus for significantly less money. And so yeah, if you want a car enthusiast SUV, actually the ultimate car enthusiast SUV, Audi RS Q8. And that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Audi RS Q8. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Mitsubishi for giving me some time with the RS Q8. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.